are listening to the All Metal Mode podcast with your host, Mike Hare. Join me and Gypsy Jules every Monday night and Matt Hoffman and myself every Tuesday night. Listen in as we discuss a wide range of metal detecting and related topics such as technical, equipment, talk to guests, and so much more. Sit back, join in on the drinking game. For those new to the show, every time I say relic machine, you need to do a shot. These are the rules, I didn't make them up. We hope you enjoy this episode of All Metal Mode. Well, there you go. I messed up the intro again. Didn't change it over. I'll tell you what, I'm a hot mess, folks. Come on, Dave. You're supposed to check on me. You're supposed to be help me out here. I'm just kidding. Nobody's fault but my own. I do. For those of you that don't know, I also do a podcast here for the United States every Monday and Tuesday night. And that's the second time I haven't changed my intros over. I apologize for that. Maybe I'll play the intro for the outro when we November 8th, we will not be doing a live show, guys. I'm going to be on a metal detecting holiday. I'm going to be seeing family. They just don't know that I'm mostly going to be metal detecting, but that's what I plan on doing. So November 8th, what we'll do is I'm already working on it. I'm going to, if you've missed any of the shows, you're going to want to tune in because I'm going to put together the best of each show up until now, and we're going to play it. You can still join in the chat live and everything. It'll be like it's a live show, but I won't be available. I might be in chat, depending on what's going on. I might be in chat, but I just didn't want to... commit to it and then something come through with family or metal detecting, and that's all. So November 8th, which is not just next coming week, but the following week. And next week is Dawn Chipcase will be our guest, and I'm pretty excited for that. I've never spoke to her. I have seen some of her videos, and that ought to be really fun. That should be really fun. Hey, Dave, how you doing?
I'm okay. How are you?
A hot mess, man. Just a hot mess.
You have spoke to Dawn. You spoke to her when she was at Detectable.
Oh, I did. You're right.
There it is.
For a minute, yeah. Well,
from next week, Mike. From next week, 7:45. I'll message you to get the right intro.
Thank you. Yeah, I don't even have an excuse this time. I slept in this morning. Steph's off and with the kids. I don't know how I did that. Like, what a hot mess. Just a hot mess, that's all.
I'm sure you can be forgiven.
Thanks, I appreciate that. But, yeah, in my defense on that with Dawn, for our listeners out there, I want to explain this real quick. Luke and Dave got a hold of me and they said, hey, do you want to do a little bit live from Detective Vault? Maybe we'll get a few people for you to talk to and stuff. And I'm like, yeah, that's great. So it was 6 a.m. my time. I roll out of bed at like 5:30. I've got a baby home and don't get much sleep. And, I'm sitting on the couch with a cup of coffee thinking I'm going to talk to Dave and maybe he'll pass me off to somebody else or something. I'm not, no warning of who I'm going to be talking to. And then all these big names in the hobby are thrown at me. And I'm just like, I'm not awake enough for this. I'm not prepared for this. But I think I got through it okay, Dave. I mean, there were some moments I'm like, oh man, I can't believe I'm talking to these people.
Yeah, that was quite funny. Right, Mike, I've got somebody else for you. Who's that? This person. Oh, God, who is it now?
Mm-hmm.
I think we went through about 15 guests in the end, didn't we?
Yeah, that was actually a lot of fun. I really enjoyed that. It was just, most of the shows they're at least maybe like we don't do much planning or anything. We kind of do it a little bit off the cuff, which I think kind of makes for a better show myself. I that's kind of my outtake, and but that was really nothing. Knew nothing. Didn't even know who we were going to have on or anything. But that was a lot of fun. A lot of fun.
Nor did I, Mike. Nor did I. I was seeing people in the field and saying they'll do.
Right. Who would we talk? We talked to
KG and Ringy.
KG and Ringy. I Detect. What's his name?
Don't Chip say Harry.
Harry. He was great.
Don't Chip Chase. Marek from Team of Yorkshire. Alexi from Air Detectors. Black Ada.
Mm-hmm.
Gary Blackwell, of course, from XP.
Yep.
Julian Evan Hart from Treasure Hunting Magazine. And a representative whose name eludes me from Searcher Magazine. Yep. And there was probably other people we accosted as well, and I can't remember now.
Right. Julian, I'll tell you something, and this is probably not right of me to say. Julian was my favorite, and I loved everybody I talked to. Just Julian and I felt like I connected to him. I loved him talking about, something that's actually I've been thinking about, and I'd like to work on an article about is how sometimes we find things that really, if you found it in one part of the country, it has no meaning, but to find it in another part of the country or something, it's huge. It's a huge find. And him talking about those bullets, that was really cool. I really like that. And we're going to get him on eventually, hopefully.
Yeah, he was, the first time I've actually met him in the flesh, and thoroughly nice bloke and so interesting. And I could have sat with him for hours and hours and hours and just listened to him, never mind spoken to him. Mm-hmm. Lovely bloke, and very, very well versed on the subject as well.
Very cool, very cool. Pretty excited about tonight's guest. He's it's Mr. Gareth Bryer, and Drastic G is his YouTube, right? Did I get that right?
Yeah, you sure did.
I was watching some videos of you earlier, and I've never done it, but I'm going to do it, and I'll tell you, my Steph walked in, my fiance, and she's like, "What's he doing? That looks really cool." And I was explaining it to her, and she's like, "Ooh, I'd like to try that." So
yeah,
we're going to have to eventually give that a go, I believe.
Yeah, definitely. You never know what's in that water.
Right.
So where in the UK are you actually from, Gareth? I know you work in different areas. Where are you from?
From Manchester. That's where my house is and that. But because I'm in the army, I have to travel a lot. And at the minute, I'm just down in Kent, just on a course. So I'll be down there for quite a while.
Marvellous. So, I spoke to Luke. You've heard his name a few times. One of my co-editor at the magazine, and assist myself and Luke with the show. And I told him he was in that area, and he's obviously quite excited to meet up with yourself, both for taking part in some magnet fishing and obviously doing a bit of detecting as well.
Yeah, definitely need to get a bit more detecting under my belt.
Certainly. So tell us a little bit more about yourself, away from magnet fishing, away from metal detecting, anything sort of, about yourself for the listeners to learn about you.
Yeah, all right, in a nutshell, 36 years old. When I left school, I was in the motor trade for about 15 years. Got fed up with that and then decided to join the army. Because the cut-off age is 32. So I decided, in my wisdom, that I'd join at 31. Join the army. But yeah, so it's interesting joining it at a later age. It's definitely different. and then just travelled a bit with work, and in my spare time, obviously decided to start magnet fishing and metal detecting. So it's quite good. Because obviously when you're away from home, you've got plenty of time on your hands. So I just get out in the evenings and do as much as I can.
And that's basically, in a nutshell, how you actually began magnet fishing.
Yeah, I literally started doing it just because I had like ridiculous amounts of time in the evening, just to kill. So I thought, well, yeah, start a new hobby. I'm seeing it on YouTube. But around January, bought a magnet. It was only a small one. I started finding some interesting things. Bought a bigger magnet, and then obviously with the bigger, more powerful magnets, you find more things, and it just snowballed from that. So yeah, and then I've only been doing metal detecting for about 2 or 3 months. Still got quite a bit to learn with that, but it's like anything in it, a bit of practice.
Yeah.
So you travel obviously a lot then with work, and obviously we're going to talk about it a little bit more later, but having access to different areas, canals, ponds, rivers, etc., you've always got somewhere to go, and the gear's always with you in the car, much like myself.
Yeah, definitely. There's no room for anything else, but yeah. But yeah, it's ideal, to be honest. It's obviously being away from the kids and that is not good, but it does give me the chance to get to a lot of different areas. So, like in the videos, people said to me all the time, like, you do a lot of traveling, like, you know, how do you afford it? But I've got to do it for work anyway, so just try new areas. So at the minute, I'm just going to try quite a bit down south now.
Hey, guy, I'm sorry, really quick. We've already got like 3 questions in, and the chat keeps moving, so we kind of want to get to them as we can. First question, do you think magnet fishers should have insurance like NCMD?
I think it will go that way, just because of the risks involved and stuff like that. I don't know if there's any plans for it, but it may go like that in the future.
And then then Aaron asked, should the Canal Trust issue permits? I think that's right along the same lines.
Yeah, I think it's. I think the trouble with the Canal Trust is they've got like a really negative view on it. Even though we're pretty much helping them out by clearing all the like scrap metal that can damage the bolts and stuff like that. So it's a bit of a strange situation because we're helping them, but they're kind of telling us not to do it. So it's a bit of a strange one. I think they're more embarrassed at the amount of stuff we're pulling out because they get paid to do that, to maintain the waterways. But obviously, the money's going somewhere and it's not being spent on cleaning the canals. So I think it raises questions. What are they doing with the money?
Yeah, I seen one video where you were in a canal that I was like, oh my God, that thing is disgusting. And you had like piles of stuff that you'd pulled out. And I thought, my first thought was, wow, what a great, thing to be doing, getting rid of some of that trash and stuff. And Richard asked, what's the best knots to use to tie on a magnet?
Me personally, I use a Palomar knot. It's like a fishing knot. I do have like tutorial videos on YouTube for it. But also people do use like the hangman noose as well. But I personally use a Palomar knot. Okay.
If you guys go out and it's Drastic G, DRASTICG, correct? I believe that's right.
Yeah.
He has some just absolutely fantastic videos. He's got a lot of how-to video, or a good handful of them at least, how-to videos, and go out and check those out for sure. I think if you're interested in it, if you're new to it or thinking about doing it, go out and check his YouTube videos. They're great. Absolutely fantastic.
Yep. It's definitely gaining in popularity.
And Dave just added a link. So, yeah, we've got that. Thank you, Dave.
Welcome. I think you've answered most of the questions now, so we may as well wrap up the show.
We're good. Let's
So, of all the places that you've been to, obviously, through working at home, and I've noticed you have competitions throughout the UK or had. Where's the best destination currently that you've actually been able to magnet fish?
Me personally, I've found all my best things in like built up inner cities, like big cities like Manchester, London, stuff like that. Obviously, the more rural you go, the less things you'll find. But there'll still be stuff there, just not as much. Because obviously, with more population, the more stuff they're going to chuck in. But I always try around the bridges first, because it depends what you find. It depends what you want to find. Like the interesting side of it, I know what obviously the criminals dump, they're going to be off the bridges. But then I do try and do a bit of research and go for the historical sites as well. And I'll try and find like old artifacts and stuff like that. So, but pretty much anywhere where there's water, I prefer canals. Trouble with rivers is because of all the rocks and stuff. You can get your magnets snagged on it. With the canals, they're generally flatter bottomed. But me personally, I'll any bit of water, I'll try it. You just never know what's going to be there.
So, well, as I mentioned, obviously you've run a number of competitions in the past.
Yeah,
I haven't actually watched any of the videos. So, when you've had a number of people, 10, 15, maybe more.
Yeah, first one I had about 15. The second one I had about 30 people. So they were gaining quite a bit of like attraction and stuff like that. But it was brilliant because I was meeting like people who've watched my videos for a long time, and obviously I've got to meet them. People who just started magnet fishing, families. It was like the good days out, to be honest. Good to meet new people as well.
So how were winners determined on them days?
So what I used to do is I used to stamp individual numbers on the coins, on like 2p coins, place them in the water like randomly, and people would fish out the coins, and then at the end of like the period, if it was an hour or 2 hours, then I'd get raffle tickets with their numbers on, and randomly pick them out, and whoever had that coin with the number on would win free magnets donated by magnet sellers.
Marvellous.
Yeah, it's a good idea.
Yeah. Now, I said until recently, because obviously certain events have transpired over the last week I've obviously seen. Can you share the basics as to why you're not longer participating in running these events?
Yeah, it's social media. The trouble with social media is obviously you're always going to get negative people messaging you and contacting you and stuff like that. So it started on because I've been finding a lot of weapons like guns and things. It's been in the media quite a lot, and then obviously because I like to share what I find on Facebook, I'd get the negative comments, and then obviously people would go out the way to message me on different social media platforms, and then start issuing threats and stuff. So
ridiculous.
Yeah, it got to the point where, because I'm meeting up with families and I even take my own kids along to these competitions, when I'm getting threats, I'm not going to risk it. Me and my family come before anything, to be honest.
Absolutely.
So the trouble with the competitions is I'd give a time and a date of where I'm going to be, and then obviously if somebody wanted to target me, they're gonna do it. I think it was probably a hoax, but I'm just not willing to take the chance. So yeah, I'm still going to magnet fish. I'm just not going to obviously do the competitions, which is unfortunate.
It is unfortunate.
Yeah, my own safety and my children's safety come before anything else.
Ridiculous.
You talking about social media? I always, it always amazes me that you'll see these great videos and whether it's metal, whatever it is, especially on YouTube, I notice people, there will just be this fantastic video and I'm so intrigued and I'm glued to my screen the whole time. And then you scroll down and there's, 3,000 likes or whatever, all these people love it. And then there's like a handful of people that thumbs down. And it's like, who, man, I don't get it.
Yeah.
Anybody who takes the time to try to video and help and show you, I don't care if you don't like a video, move on. These people that have that have the audacity and the nerve, I've never thumbs down. I've seen videos I didn't like. I hate the misleading videos with the titles of, "Oh, I found this today," and you watch it and it's they found a treasure. Yeah, I don't like those, but I don't even thumbs down them. I just move on. I don't visit that stuff anymore. But man, the stuff that these YouTube, people putting their stuff out on YouTube that they got to deal with is absurd.
Yeah,
Absolute
the comments are quite horrendous. And the thing is, what a lot of people don't realize with YouTube is if you put like swear words in the comments or anything like that, YouTube automatically withhold their messages. They still let a few through, but it's only the creator that can see these messages that have been withheld, and some of them are really disturbing. Like shocking, honestly. But it's the unfortunate side of being on social media.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I agree. It's just crazy. We've got some more questions. Luke said, "What about the safe she found? What police involvement happened? Ammo and guns. Do they have to be turned in, or do you keep them?"
Yeah, so all the firearms have to be handed in, because in the UK, if anybody's in possession of a firearm without a license, it's mandatory, like 5 years in prison. Up to 10. You're talking minimum 5 years in jail.
Mm-hmm.
So straight away, I'll hand the guns into the police. The safes, it's a bit of a weird situation. Basically, the police won't accept the safes. Obviously, they're saying that they're undermanned and things like that. People have found motorbikes, and police are just not interested. I think it's more they've got to prioritise obviously what's more serious, and they just they won't deal with them. I've been in with parts of a gun, like a sawn-off shotgun barrel. I think there's a purse with all the credit cards in, which had obviously been stolen and dumped in the water. Sawn-off shotgun barrel. I went to hand it in, and the lady on the front desk just turned around and said, "We don't accept lost property." And I'm like, "Well, it's clearly not lost. It's been dumped for a reason." Mm-hmm. And eventually she took it, but she wasn't happy. So, I think they're more interested in the serious side of it, like the firearms and things like that.
Right. That is just crazy to me.
What
else?
And all the safes are always empty. You get, I think I've found in the region of about 15 to 20 safes, ranging from the small ones that you have in your home to like the ones you have probably in an office, and they've all been empty apart from one, and that just had like costume jewelry in it. So obviously, if you do find something in the safes, I found parking machines where they've been ripped out the ground, cut in half, and obviously the cash box in the bottom half, and I'll find the top half where the ticket that gets dispensed. And they're quite heavy as well. They're heavier than the safes, some of them. It's unbelievable what people are finding.
Yeah, I imagine.
So what are the laws and rules? Are there anything currently in place regarding magnet fishing?
The Canal Trust do own, I'd say, about 70% roughly of the waterways, as in like canals and stuff. They've got like a really old bylaw that says it's like a really grey area. It says you can't dredge for coal or remove material, and that's all it says. So that's obviously open to interpretation. So, but then the rivers, they're a lot of them are owned by the Environment Agency, they've never had a response to it. They're obviously not bothered as long as we're removing the rubbish and not putting it in. They don't have a problem with it. It just seems it's the Canal Trust that have the issue.
We've got a couple more questions. Aaron, South Coast Detecting. He asks, how do you feel about rival fishers? or others in the community, such as that's Brad. Is the magnet fishing a whole, the well-known people on YouTube, is it a good community?
Yeah, definitely. We all help each other out. Like the other day, I got contacted by the BBC to do a spot, like an interview. I couldn't attend because I'm working in Kent, and this was going to be in Manchester. So straight away I messaged, that's Brad. Like, do you fancy doing this? And he was like, yeah, definitely. And we always meet up because it obviously I prefer being out with other people. Like if I'm in work, I'll more than likely go out on my own. But the social side of it is better. So at every opportunity I'll meet up with others to do it. So yeah, there's no rival, I don't think. If there is, they keep it to themselves. Like I'm not aware of it.
Richard Bain from Unearthed UK, which is incidentally Unearthed UK is the company that I got my first magnet package from, and it was there the next day, incidentally. So kudos to Graham Rushton for that. He says he's just watching you drag out an Uzi in Enfield.
Oh, yeah. I thought it was an Uzi all the way through the video. I'm like, I found an Uzi, so I'm really excited. And when the armed police turned up, they said it was a Mac 10 submachine gun.
Good Lord.
Similar size to an Uzi, just slightly different. But it's funny you should mention all the comments in the YouTube videos because it was the majority of the American viewers like corrected me straight away. It's like, hey man, that's not an Uzi, that's a Mac 10. But we don't see many of them, so it's good. That's a good thing as well. Like a lot of the times when I find stuff, I don't know what it is. So straight away I'll be like, oh, does anybody know what this is? And in the comments, like they'll tell me what it is. So that's good. That's for the nice side of the comments.
Now there are a number more questions that have popped up, but I think we're going to have to go back to our questions, Mike, because we're missing out on them here.
Right. Go ahead. Well, I'll keep track of the questions.
So, okay, how do you feel about the recent negative press concerning magnet fishing in the UK, particularly the bomb disposal experts and the British Waterways comments?
Oh, sorry, I'm just going to I'm back now. Yeah, I don't know. I think a lot of it's just the media trying to sell stories. So there'll be like terrible titles, but then I did an interview with, I think it was Daily Mail, and the interview was the title was like the most recent dangerous hobby or something. So people obviously like, oh, I'll read that. But it was actually a good article. But then some others have sided with the Canal Trust. As far as the bond disposal side of it, I actually know people who deal with it, not personally, but in that regiment. And a lot of them are happy to actually be doing the job because they don't want to be sat behind the desk. They want to get out and actually dem grenades that people have found. Obviously, there's an element of risk to it, but there is with everything, isn't there? Imagine how many like World War II bombs get dug up in London, and when they're digging foundations for buildings, and they're a lot bigger. They're like 500 pounders, 1,000 pounders. But we're finding little grenades, so obviously still dangerous. But
Luke and I were chatting yesterday. He was on a metal detecting event, and they found a World War One hand grenade. So along came the chaps from the bomb disposal, and they actually were nice enough to let them be involved in the detonation of it and whatnot. Off they went. Half an hour later, Luke had to call them back. The second hand grenade had been found. So they come back and they were a bit sort of, oh, another one, bloody hell. So again, blew it up. A couple of hours later, they have to ring them again. At that point, he said, "We stop bloody ringing us and stop metal detecting. It's failed."
Yeah, obviously, like anything in it, some of them will get annoyed with it. Some will enjoy it. And me personally, if I was doing that job, I'd rather be doing it rather than sat behind the desk. So with the Canal Trust, I think they've just got issues with, like I said before, with us showing them up. They're charging boat owners like hundreds of thousands, if not millions, to maintain the waterways and clean it. and it makes you wonder what they're spending the actual money on. But that's obviously a question for them to answer.
I said to somebody at work today, it's something that Mike probably won't grasp being from America, but back in the late 70s, early 80s, we used to have when people didn't have all the works, what have they used to work for the corporations, and at them days, canals were obviously derelict. Obviously, so many have been renewed in the UK, but lots were derelict. So they were sending all these people down to actually clean them out, and we're basically doing exactly the same job as they were 30 years ago, but with the water there still.
Yeah, exactly.
That's funny. Let's take a couple questions real quick. Dean said, "What's the biggest thing you've pulled out of the water?" I'm really curious about that myself.
Wow. The longest thing was about, I'd say, at least a 20-meter, like a handrail. Like this thing was huge. Like I don't know where they pulled it from and how they got it in the water, but this thing was massive. Biggest thing is in weight wise, the safes or the ticket machines, because obviously once they're filled up with water, it would take two of us to like pull it out. Just trying to think. The majority of it's like safes and bikes and stuff like that, and shopping trolleys. Yeah, safes. I'd say that's my biggest.
Have you had to cut a rope and leave a magnet before?
No, I'm a tight northerner, which Dave will grasp. And I won't leave nothing behind. Like I've got my magnet stuck a few times, and I don't recommend this to anybody. But I'll go in the water to retrieve it. Obviously, that's got dangers in itself, and I'm fully aware of it. And I'll take my own risks. But yeah, I'll go out my way to recover the magnet. Or probably the easiest one to do without getting wet is imagine you're on the canal bank or the riverside, and you're pulling it in and you get it stuck. Try and get to the opposite side of the river. Obviously, because I fish a lot near bridges, I'll go up and over the bridge and pull from the opposite direction, and then that'll free it. And that's probably the easiest and best way. But yeah, I'm lucky enough that I haven't lost any equipment yet.
On the back of that, I have actually seen you in the water. And one of the next questions is, have you ever been ill due to the dirty water?
No, I think being in military, we're constantly having loads of like immunisations for this and that, as you can imagine. So I think I'm pretty all right with that. I've never physically got ill from it, so I'm either lucky or no.
Luke sent us an inbox as well of an article from the Daily Mail last year about somebody claiming to have actually pulled out a Enigma code breaking machine.
Okay.
And obviously, for those who don't know, the Enigma machine was used as the code breaking in the Second World War, and this was found in silt at the bottom of a pond, apparently.
I got to throw this in here. I know I've said it before on our show. I grew up in the Dayton, Ohio area and home of NCR, I believe. Yeah, right, NCR, that helped create that machine. Very cool.
Wow.
Yeah, that would be a heck of a find. Yeah, definitely.
Historically, I mean, Luke asked before about people finding historic finds, and even though it's not, it's what, less than 100 years old. Historically, that's a very important find, I think.
Right.
Yeah, especially to our history in that.
Aaron asked have you kept all your finds or do you scrap it all? I'm sure he's got to scrap some of it. He pulls out a lot of stuff. But I'm sure you keep some of it. I'm sure you keep some of it, correct?
Yeah, definitely. Obviously, all the firearms I'll hand in. All the smaller, more interesting things. Like I've got a massive pile in my shed that I need to clean up with either electrolysis or other means like acids and stuff. But yeah, which I just don't have time with a minute. We're working and stuff. But yeah, all the junk. What I'll do, if I'm in the local area, say Manchester, I've got local scrap dealers, scrap like merchants that will come in and collect the scrap. And then they'll take it to scrapyard and obviously earn, I think it's about between 100 and 160 pound per ton. So obviously they'll earn money from that. So yeah, I just get it taken away. If it's in an area I'm not from, the day before I'll Google local scrap dealers and say, I'll be here. Are you willing to pick it up? And they say, yeah. Obviously, they come and get it. And for me, I get the rubbish removed for free, and then they earn money for taking it away.
We just actually, for one of the questions from Dean Stainton, he asks, being a tight northerner, do you cash in your scrap? So that's answered that.
Yeah, I want to, but obviously I've got a little car at the minute. If I had a van or a trailer, yeah, I'd definitely be doing that. But it's just it's the initial cost of buying a van or a trailer, tow and I, stuff like that. But I'm sure in the future I'll recover that cost.
That's all for the hobby as well, isn't it?
Yeah,
Davey M asked a question, and Davey, we're going to get into that a little bit later, so we'll hold off on that question, but we'll remember it. How's that?
That sounds good to me. Obviously, your YouTube channel, Drastic G, again, DRASTICG, become very successful along with the rise of magnet fishing in the UK. You've got 23,000 subscribers, so you must be doing something right. But how did the channel come about?
Long story short, like I said initially in the beginning of the interview, it was out of boredom. I knew I was sick of pretty much the military. If I'm not away on deployments and stuff like that, it's a 9 to 5 job, Monday to Friday. Weekends I'll go home. And when I'm at work, obviously after work, finish at 5, have a evening meal, and then I can either go to the gym or just chill out. I'm a very active person. I don't like being sat around. I'm not one that can just sit in front of the TV every night. So I knew I wanted to do something. And I always wanted to learn video editing, but I didn't know what to video. So I thought, well, my kids were always watching YouTube. Like, how hard can it be? How hard can it be? So I set up a YouTube channel. Started making random videos of the kids, of me, totally random. Like in the first, I think I made about 20 videos, and I've unlisted them now, so nobody can see them because they're embarrassing. But it helped me learn video editing, and I think I started that. What was that? November, December last year. And like I said, I only had like 20 views on each video. They were shocking, but I was learning the video editing process. Started magnet fishing, and then I thought, I remember watching somebody saying, if you've got a successful YouTube channel, niche down the topic. And mine was challenges with the kids, vlogs, total random stuff. So I niched down to just magnet fishing, and that's all I concentrated on. And with the popularity of magnet fishing going up, and then me just constantly making magnet fishing videos after obviously videos, me editing was getting slightly better. Still not perfect, but it's getting better. And then obviously it's just took off from there. That's it really. And then I pretty much spend all my evenings now on my videos. If I'm not editing videos, I'm researching topics and areas to go. So it's like another full-time job, to be honest. But,
do you enjoy it? Do you still enjoy it? Is it? I mean, it sounds like a lot of work. I'm sure you still enjoy it, right?
Yeah, I still enjoy the magnet fishing, the video editing side of it, and the YouTube side of it. Obviously, the only downside is what can throw you a bit is obviously the negative comments, and obviously the people on Facebook and stuff like that. And like, I don't go into it too much, but there's a few people constantly like hounding me personally, and a few others. And then when you actually do a bit of research, not a research on them, but like you find out they're not even into magnet fishing. They're just there to troll people.
Yeah.
But that's like I said before. That's the trouble with social media, isn't it?
Gareth, don't let them
stuck behind keyboards.
Don't let them bring you down, man. Keep doing your thing. Don't let people. There's people out there that are living miserable lives and they have nothing better to do. Just
exactly.
Have fun, do your thing, keep sharing it. People, I mean, all the questions coming in tonight, people are obviously interested in this and wanting to know your thoughts and opinions. So keep at it. Don't let them bring you down, buddy.
Yeah, like for every one bad comment, I'll get 50 really nice comments. So, the good always outweighs the bad. Definitely.
Yeah. Aaron's got a really good question, I think. Whose video do you watch? Whose videos do you enjoy watching?
To be honest, YouTube consumes my life. It's ridiculous, but when I do watch videos, it's probably 9 times out of 10 I'm watching other people, I'm trying to think of the word. There's people who teach you how to get better at YouTube. I'm watching people who are experts in video editing, so I can learn tricks off them. There's others that help you customize your channel so it looks more professional. So I'm doing all that in the background when I'm not actually out fishing or metal detecting. But if I'm chilling out, if I think, I just want to watch something that's not related to making videos or something, there's quite a few. There's one called Colin Furs. He's like a British inventor. He just makes mad contraptions in his garden shed. A lot of his stuff, it's all homemade and stuff. So that's good. I watch, what was it? Deep Digger Dan. Watched him for quite a while. I Detect. So I do watch, obviously, even other magnet fishing channels. I watch most of their videos just to see what they've been finding. It's quite interesting.
Which again leads us on to another question. Have you ever seen a video of a find and wish that you'd found it?
Oh, definitely. Yeah. But it's how it is, isn't it? There's one, I think it was a family put out a hold all full of guns all neatly wrapped up. Obviously put there to be recovered at a later date. And I was like, wow, that's like a find of a lifetime, that. I think there was one in Norway. A young girl found a 15-year-old, was it 1,500-year-old Viking sword?
Oh, wow.
Oh, yeah.
I'm sure it was Norway, Sweden, something like that. And that was like, wow, these are like bucket list finds. These. So yeah, I'm not jealous, but I'm always like, wow, they've had a real good find.
Aaron, I feel like Aaron is coming up with so many good questions. I think he's going after one of our jobs here, Dave.
Is Aaron a regular?
He's got some great questions.
Aaron's a regular, yeah.
Oh, cool.
And Dean's had some really good questions. Dean wants to know. We don't need to get into a bunch. We got a lot of questions, but have you tried TubeBuddy, which I'd never heard of, and I looked it up, and it helps you with your YouTube channel. Yeah,
definitely. Okay. There's TubeBuddy, and they've got I'd say a rival, but they both give good information. You can both use them at the same time. One's called TubeBuddy, and one's called vidIQ. They're both like Chrome extensions, and then when you're putting in your tags for your videos, it'll suggest other tags, related tags, and both them bits of software are brilliant, and they're both free as well. Or the basic versions are free, which nice. I use because I'm too tight to pay for it.
What's the other one besides TubeBuddy?
vidIQ, VID-Q.
Gotcha.
You know it all on YouTube now, don't you?
Like I said, I live in it now, so it gets quite addictive.
That's fine. Yeah,
I'll tell you what's funny though is when you think you've had you find something amazing. Like YouTube's so unpredictable. I've learned so much about like the platform. I won't go into it too much, but it'll be like you'll find an amazing find. Like I found, I think it was dated like 1860, a black powder revolver, cap and ball. I found it in the river. I was like, wow, this is amazing. This will do brilliant in the video, like on views. And it's had like 16,000 views, which is still brilliant. And then I had another video, the worst video I've ever made. Well, not I ever made. I didn't find much. It was just kids on a bridge throwing like money at me. I know, it's like just kids being kids. And that got like 277,000 views.
Oh.
And it just blew me away. I was like, how has that got so many views? It's a terrible video, but that's just YouTube for you.
That is too fun. Yeah, that you're right. It's funny. I like I said, I do a show Monday and Tuesday night here in the United States. I do a podcast as well, and Monday night my co-host is Gypsy Jules, which I don't know if I told you this, Dave. If you know this, she is now officially a Garrett team member, and
marvelous.
You will probably be seeing her at some events like Detective Ball next year. And she's a wonderful person. She's very passionate about the hobby. But she was saying how her best video is, and it aggravates her. She never does like bikini or anything like that. But she was in like she was in the river, so she was like in I think a tube top, she said, or something. She said that's her best video, and it really kind of frustrated her that guys were watching it because she was in that. But yeah, the YouTube is crazy. I agree. Like, you never know what video will do good and what won't, and it's absurd.
Even if you optimize it, like the best, it's all down to the audience and what YouTube promotes.
Mm-hmm.
It's down to a computer what decides what video is getting promoted.
You guys are coming up with some just really good questions. Thank you. Heck, we don't even have to do any questions beforehand next time, Dave. Let's just let everybody ask questions.
Well, I'm going to ask one which I think is quite important, and obviously the people who are listening who want to participate and who haven't yet. There's numerous magnet types. What are the difference of the magnet? What type of magnets are there out there, and what are the differences?
Yeah, that's a really good question, that, and it's probably the most important that people need to know before they spend their own hard-earned cash on magnets. There's countless different types. If you obviously you want a magnet, if you're going to go on Amazon and things like that, just type in recovery magnet, and that's just obviously a magnet with an eyelet on it that you can tie your rope to. But the two main differences are single-sided ones and double-sided ones. Both do, in my eyes, totally different jobs. Obviously, they're still magnetic, still pick stuff up. But as you can imagine, a single-sided magnet, it's like it's just like an eyelet in the top, and then the magnet's facing the ground. So you can imagine if you chuck, because it's round, if you chuck it in, as you pull in with a rope, it tips on its side. But magnets are only like very powerful on the base. So I use my single-sided magnets for the edges, as you can imagine, because the magnet strength is when it's being vertically lifted. So imagine you got a safe at the side. I'll use a single-sided to attach it and then pull it straight out. Whereas a double, I use that to cast out and then drag in. And then because it's double-sided, at least one side will be facing the bottom. And that's obviously it's going to pick up the metal and drag in. So I'd probably say I find 90% of all my stuff with a double-sided magnet, and then I use a single-sided just for the heavy stuff at the edges, like the safes. So if you can afford them, get both, a single and a double. But I'd say double are the best, definitely.
And then there's the neodymium. I'll get there in a minute. That's the one. And what other magnets are available out there? What's the difference between magnet types?
Yeah, so the main ones is the cheaper ones are called ferrite magnets. And basically, it's like a grey material, like it's almost like I don't know what the material is, like a graphite or something. But basically, they're generally a lot bigger in size because they're weaker. They've got to be bigger. And you'll still find stuff with them. They're probably good if you're on a budget. You can buy a big one for about £10-15, but they're not very powerful, so you'll find little things. But then neodymium ones, it's like a concoction of metals, and they're a lot smaller, but just as powerful, if not more powerful. And they're the best ones. They're a lot more durable as well. Like the ferrite, they keep hitting rocks on rivers, they'll crack. With ferrite, they're a lot stronger. Ferrite will crack. Neodymium are a lot stronger.
Now, as you know yourself, I actually rang you a couple of weeks ago. I ordered my second magnet, which was one of the dredging types, the rounder ones. And I rang you up because it was like the size of my thumb. And I couldn't quite understand, because the first magnet I got, the flat magnet from Unearthed UK, that was obviously a lot bigger, and it was more of a dipping. You told me the way to use that was to dip. And the second one, I rang you and I said, mate, what is this? What have I got?
Yeah.
And it was so small I couldn't get my head around it.
Yeah, that's the thing. It's they measure it in pull, so what it can lift vertically, and because the neodymium magnets are a lot stronger but smaller. People imagine like one will be listed at it'll lift 100 kilograms. So you in your head, like before even I started, I was like 100 kilogram. That magnet must be huge. And then without reading the description on the sale page, it'll be tiny. Like 100 kilogram lift neodymium magnet will probably be, width-wise, probably an inch and a half. And it's tiny, that, isn't it? Like, you think if someone can lift 100 kilogram, it's going to be huge, but they're not. The biggest one I'm using at the minute is 520 kilogram that it can lift. But that is quite big. I'd say width-wise, like 6 inches, 7 inches. But yeah, I use that just for the big stuff.
That is pretty big.
It just obviously before people buy them, just read the description properly, and obviously read the measurements as well. But I'd always recommend, if you're going to start off, buy a 200 kilogram pole magnet straight away. Don't get anything smaller than that unless you've got children, and they'd probably be ideal with a like 115 kg one. But you want to be starting off with 200 and upwards, and then obviously the more powerful, the bigger items you're going to find.
I'm just sharing that tiny one on the chat on the Spreaker app. So, and then I'm going to put the one on as well from Unearthed UK as well. So obviously people can have a look at that, because I know a lot of people from Unearthed UK Facebook group will be listening tonight. So obviously those who don't know that these are sold by Graham Rushton can obviously see them themselves then.
Yeah, cool.
That is really neat. I'm sitting here looking at them. You're making me want to do this. Like I said, Steph she was really intrigued as I was watching your videos. So I can see us having to do this. And in the summer, I live in Texas, and in the summer it is brutal. Maybe we can being down by the river and stuff doing this wouldn't be so bad.
Yeah, a top tip as well is when people buy these magnets, the eye bolts can come loose, and countless people have lost the magnets because as they're chucking it in, pulling it out, it'll just come loose and obviously come off. But I use Loctite, or like a thread locker. It's just like a glue you put thread, tighten it up, let it set for like 12, 24 hours, and then you're good to go then. But yeah, that's probably my top tip if you're going to buy a magnet.
Yeah, and again, it's a tip the first time I went out, I'd done a video with my son, and that's what we found. What I found. It was on his latch threads at one point when I pulled it out, and I had access to Loctite. So, yeah, I've used exactly the same myself. And as soon as the other two magnets I've got came, again, threw the Loctite in them and actually fixed something upstairs in the bathroom.
Yeah, it's good stuff.
Dave, in the chat, you put my tiny one, and people are getting quite the laugh out of that.
Yeah, and notice it's Mrs. Higgins who's making the crew in a lot of things.
I've kind of noticed she's a troublemaker.
Yes,
she's a troublemaker for sure.
I really don't know how Luke puts up with her, to be honest.
She's actually a hoot, but you can tell she is a troublemaker for sure. We have more questions. We haven't even gotten to. Would you consider being on TV? Doing a documentary?
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, I'm not. I won't say I'm brilliant in front of the camera, but I don't mind.
Richard Baines said, "What's the weirdest, funniest thing you ever found?" I love that question, Richard. What a great question.
Yeah, well, if it were YouTube, I probably couldn't show it because I'd probably get demonetized. But we found about 2 or 3 sex toys, which had probably been chucked out from the house behind or something. Or or you never know what goes on them canals in the dark.
I thought they were made of rubber.
Obviously, the batteries and stuff inside.
I know, I was joking.
Hey, be honest. When you found it, you chased your buddy around with it, right?
Yeah, shoved it in his face.
Yep. That is funny. And I can just imagine a woman living at the house like, oh my God, they found it. I never thought I'd see it again. Oh my God. Oh my God, they pulled it out. Oh, that's funny.
I think you'd top your 277,000 hits with that video, to be honest.
You're right.
Yeah, well.
Now, listen, last week's guest, we had Dilek, who's one of the main representatives from Nocta Macro, who manufacture metal detectors and such like. And we were talking about new technologies. Now, 2 of them we were talking about were the Amphibio and the Scuba Detector. Obviously, the Amphibio is a waterproof metal detector itself, and the Scuba Detector can be fully submersed. Would there be any way that would assist in magnet fishing retrieval in any way, shape, or form?
Yeah, definitely. When I'm down at the river, trouble is with magnets, you just pulling out the ferrous metals. You're not going to pick up any copper, brass, gold, silver, anything like that. So yeah, any underwater detector would be brilliant because I'm always like jumping in. if I've got my my wetsuit on and stuff, I'll get in with my snorkel and stuff like that. So, yeah, definitely.
So you did bog snorkeling as well?
Yeah, I must admit the water down south is definitely a lot clearer.
Is that river you mean, or
even the canals?
Really?
I've been close to like London and the Thames, like the main river that goes through it, the massive one. That's filthy. You're not going to see nothing in that. But the actual canals and rivers that run into it, the parts of it are crystal clear. You can see the bottom. Well, obviously Manchester is brown, but I think somebody said is it the peat off the hills, or it might just be pollution, or a bit of both.
Do you know, obviously, being northern like yourself, I mean, I'm from Ellesmere Port, where the National Boat Museum is. So I've been privy to canals all my life. Elder family were boaties themselves. And in school, in primary school, one of the things we learnt about was the locality of canals and such like. And I can always remember, but I can't remember where it was. They took us on a school trip on a canal boat and whatnot, not in Ellesmere Port, somewhere, I can't even remember it, Lancashire or somewhere. But they called it the tomato soup canal because everything was pure orange. The water, it was so orange it was untrue. And it was apparently it was down to the ferrous metal content that obviously years of industry had pumped into it. Have you any idea where that is? Because I can't for the life of me remember.
No.
I'll have to find that.
I don't know, to be honest. A quick Google search might find it.
Yeah. I've never thought. It's only till now when we're talking. I thought, I wonder.
Yeah, it doesn't surprise me because it was heavily industrial, wasn't it? Like the northwest.
It was indeed.
In the mills and that.
So, what magnet type, what setup would you suggest for new starters?
I'd definitely recommend a 200 kilogram double-sided neodymium magnet. That'll be the best all-rounder. And the one I've got now, I've still got it. I think I bought it within the first month. Like the first one I bought was like a cheap round ferrite magnet, like the pot magnets. And then as soon as I got the bug, I paid a bit more money for the 200 kilogram double-sided magnet. And I've still got that today. It's that good. So I'll use that majority of the time. And then I'd probably say the 520 kilogram single-sided magnet. So it's a big magnet, but it's good for the big stuff. So they're the two main ones. I've got one from, I think it's Mag Pros. I'm testing that out at the minute because there's been in the past like companies that'll say, "Can you try this magnet? Like, let me know what you think." So that's always good. So I've always got like 3 or 4 magnets on me, but the main two are the 200 kilogram double-sided one and the 520 single. Pretty much they're the two that you only need, really.
Mm-hmm. And you don't obviously use a normal corded rope. You use what type of rope?
It depends on the side of the magnet. You can get, if you've got like a 200 kilogram one or smaller, you can get away with paracord. It's very cheap but very strong. The only downside is it's quite thin. So what I used to do, I used to double it up. So if you had 100 foot of it, I'd put it in half and then use 50, but I'd use obviously a bit doubled up. Climbing rope. If you got to spend a bit more money. Climbing rope's brilliant, or any marine grade rope. But as long as the breaking strength of the rope is higher than the strength of the magnet, because obviously you don't want a 100 kilogram breaking rope and you got a 200 magnet in, obviously you might lose it, you might snap it. But yeah, climbing rope's probably the best one, or marine grade rope. It's cheap enough as well, so it's not too bad.
And what advice would you give to people who've never been magnet fishing before, obviously want to start into the hobby?
Best thing is, there's quite a few tips, to be honest. Just buy a decent magnet to begin with, or the best one you can afford on your budget, and then the rope to go with it. Always thread lock the eyelet of the magnet, because that's the easiest way of losing your magnet. What else? Obviously, if you're young, go out with an adult, because obviously there's always dangers near water.
Right. Probably always take somebody, right?
Yeah.
Hey, speaking of that, while we're on that, real quick, Aaron, South Coast Detecting, he's making me feel like I just need to hang it up, and he's asking all these great questions. Have you ever been injured while magnet fishing?
There's been a couple of times where I've been close, and that's not due to the magnets. It's due to cheap grappling hooks. Because what I'll use like grappling hooks are brilliant for like bike frames, shopping trolleys, anything big and bulky. Mm-hmm. It's faster to get it out of the water with a grappling hook. And I did the mistake of buying a cheap grappling hook off eBay for like, I think it was like £5. But the arms on it were very thin. So you can imagine like there's 2 or 3 of us pulling on this rope with a grappling hook, and the arms bend back on themselves, and then the grappling hook will come flying out of the water. My mate's been hitting the chest with it. I've nearly took my eye out with it. So yeah, that's the only time I've ever been close to being injured, and that was due to buying cheap equipment like grappling hooks and stuff. So I was obviously buy cheap grappling hook like I did. They'll be cheap.
I'm glad you brought that up, because that was a question I had for you. Like, why do I see you sometimes using grappling hooks? So, yeah, great.
Yeah, it's just to get the bigger items out of the water quicker.
I got
And
you.
guess what I've just bought on Amazon while we're talking?
Hopefully it's not a cheap one.
A military heavy-duty grappling anchor hook with nylon rope Ninja Cadet bushcraft.
Nice.
It'll do me for a starter.
Yeah, definitely.
Dave,
nope, up to yourself, sir.
I know you've done it some. How do you enjoy it, and how many times have you been out? Or are you new to it?
I'm a novice. I've been out twice, both times with my little boy who's 6, and he absolutely adores it. And he learns so much, and he's even telling me things about, hey, Daddy, do you know what this is? Do you know what that is? And obviously, it's also getting out with him for father-son time. It's brilliant. It really is good.
Kids, isn't it?
Yeah, we made one video, obviously, because as every parent listening will attest, kids these days are completely into YouTube videos of people opening Kinder eggs or Fortnite or Roblox or Minecraft. So so when he got to actually be on a video himself and be on YouTube, he was absolutely beside himself. He's got his mum and sister go away to Amsterdam this weekend. Yeah, without me, what's that about? So me and him, he's got his first grading at jiu-jitsu on Sunday. So I have promised him on Sunday afternoon after his grading, and given the weather, we will go out to play. And I've got a perfect spot. Obviously, last time when I went out, we went more into the countryside, a place called Bosley Locks, which was it's the step locks all the way down. I think it's about 8 or 9 different locks. And, we found bits and bolts, crowbar. Absolutely loved it. Beside himself. Got him a proper little pair of gloves and what have you. Loves it. But this week there's another area of Congleton which is more industrial and more in the town. So it's, in fact, there was a newspaper article last week of they've been trying to do a clean-up and people pulling bikes and such like doing a clean-up. So imagine what's there for magnet fishers. So hopefully I'll get a little video up this weekend.
Yeah, try near the bridges.
Yeah. We've actually had another Aaron South Coast detecting. I think we should just hand the microphone over to him. Right. He's asked, and again, I think he's completely right. You've definitely got what it takes to do this. Have you ever thought of writing a book about how to magnet fish, a beginner's guide, as you will?
Yeah, I've definitely thought about it. One is the lack of time, and 2, I wouldn't know where to start, to be honest.
Well, to be honest, you've got loads of time, but you spend it watching Roblox videos, obviously.
Yeah. Too much watching Kinder Egg videos being opened. But yeah, I wouldn't know where to start, to be honest. I need somebody to write it because I'm not brilliant at writing. I can talk all day, but I can't write. But yeah, maybe one day.
Well, I actually self-published a book a few years ago when I was involved in the paranormal and such like, and that self-publishing in it was, I think they set a price of something like £4.99 per book plus postage and packing, and then you can add additionally on top what you want to make per book, and I reckon it was only about 100 copies in existence, but it was more a case of me actually doing something that was there what I wanted to do for in memory of my dad and such like. So I've done that, and it was pleasant doing it after I'd written it and after I'd sent it to print and what have you. I don't think it was as good as it could have been, but hey, that's
did people proofread it for you and re-type it out, or
in that sense? No, I had people who could have done it who were known personally, but in this, I just done it.
That's cool though. You did it. At least you did it.
Aye. And then obviously that leads me on to starting one of the reasons to start the Archaeology and Metal Detecting magazine, because obviously I like to play around with words.
Yeah.
That's great.
Yeah. I definitely want to do a beginner's guide, but it's just getting time.
Yeah.
I have a book that I self-published, and I had it printed local, and it actually did better than I thought it would. It was more of like a labor of love. It wasn't about, it was metal detecting related, actually, the county I'm from, and it was more of a labor of love. But it's so funny this came up because I have 2 books that I want to publish, but I would like to do. I'd like to talk to you about that a little bit more at some point, Dave, about some options I have. I'd like to, I've kind of read up on, it's the whole like printed as it's gone, as it's sold, and like e-reader stuff, and so I need some advice and help with that. But yeah, we can talk about that another time.
Certainly, yeah.
Aaron said he's got a paranormal book published, haunted. Oh, I can't even say that. How do you say
Chichester.
that?
Chichester. Yeah.
That is too cool. That is awesome. That is something that really intrigues me, the paranormal. I've had some experiences, and Dave, we've never talked. I lived in a house, man. I'm telling you, hey, I don't know, I don't, whether you believe or not or whatever, but man, I had some stuff happen into the house I lived in that was really hard for me to wrap my head around. Really hard. I'd love to get into that, and we're going to do that next week, correct?
Yeah, we're going to go somewhere next week. Obviously, we've got dig a dawn on next week. I know it's the 1st of November, All Saints Day, but it's only the day after Halloween, so I'm sure we can mosey on over to that side of things.
I would like that. I'd really like to hear your experiences. And you actually, I know we're off subject here, but you debunked mostly, correct?
No, I wouldn't say debunked. It was the scientific study of the paranormal. I was actually a parapsychologist. So we were actually doing scientific testing on... at the end of the day, Mike, what it was, if you are able to test everything scientifically and come up with a rational explanation that fits into that area, or you're able to explain with science the cause of events, be it medical, be it psychological, be it related to the atmosphere, related to the land, etc., etc. If you're able to explain what's going on, then it's not really paranormal. It can be explained. It's the small percentage liars and cheats and stealers involved in the subject, and hey, some of them are now popping.
Guys, I don't know if we are okay. I think we lost internet for a brief moment. We were reconnecting. I don't know what happened, but hopefully it looks like we're back on. I don't know how that will affect it. I'll have to listen to it after the show, but so I have to get your book, Dave. You put a link in it, and Aaron said his is on.
No, don't buy my book. It's rubbish.
Oh, it looks awesome. Love
Honestly,
the
title. The second version of it, it took out the UFO and cryptozoology side of stuff, and it was based on paranormal, and that was far superior. And it was with a friend of mine who's he's a film producer, TV documentary producer in Canada. He started up a small book company, but through timescales and such like, he didn't actually get to the point where he was able to publish it. So I've still got one in Microsoft Word, so he can send you that and you can read it on your tablet or something instead.
Can I get it shipped here? Like if I buy it through the link?
Yeah, I think it's in America anyway, the company who do that.
Okay, good deal. That'd be great to read it online, but I'd like to have a copy of it. I'll have to do that. So Laura Higgins said we did drop out, but we're back on. Good deal. I don't know if we had, something must have gone down with the internet. So we are back, though. That's what matters. I don't know what we missed or what, but hey.
Anyway, enough about the paranormal. We'll keep that for next week and discuss it all, because I know Dawn's very, very into that side of things. Obviously, let's get back over to Gareth now.
Sorry.
We also discussed previously about making instructional videos for novices about magnet fishing. Mm-hmm. Again, you've got numerous ones on your YouTube channel, and obviously we discussed as well. Obviously, you allowed me to use your YouTube videos on the Archaeology and Metal Detecting magazine. Which obviously I'm very thankful for. So what I'm going to hopefully do in the coming weeks is find all your instructional videos and put them together in one place so people can just pop to that straight away and obviously see that. So I'll try and get that done sooner rather than later. So obviously, your knot tie-ins and such like. And then it's how many videos have you got on there now? About 207 million.
No. I wish it feels like that. I don't even know. I've lost count.
So I'll do that in a couple of weeks, and obviously I'll publish that through the Archaeology and Metal Detecting magazine. And I'm just trying to see how many videos you've actually got.
God knows.
No idea. I'm at about 4 million at the moment, I think. So obviously they're all there, and I obviously. Met you originally. You had involvement in the Manchester Evening News with some the crossbow and such like that you found. We spoke a bit about that. How much media work have you actually participated in now? News, TV, newspapers, and such like. Is it becoming quite common?
Yeah, just this week alone, I've been contacted by the BBC and Channel 4. companies that make programs for them shows. So I've been contacted by 2 media companies just this week. So it is getting more and more. I'd say I've done probably about 4 small like TV interviews. What go on like the back end of like the regional news in the evenings. Been on the One Show. I've done a couple of. I've been in a few newspaper articles. Generally, they're just taking stories from other media companies. So I think the first one I did was Daily Mail that I gave permission for, and then others contacted me off the back of that and just recycled that story and just said, "Do you mind if we use this story?" And I've gone, "Yeah, go for it." So I've not actually spoken to that many. They've just picked it up off obviously their sources and then run with it.
Now, I've just been going through your videos, as I've said. Do you realise that your Magnet Fisher of the Week video, Just Ash, was your 100th video?
Was it?
Yeah, so including your subscriber hangout, you're now at 102.
Wow. Told you I've not got a life. Keeps me busy.
Yeah, it does. My colleague Luke, again, he raised an issue, one that you're able to advise novices again. Luke has witnessed a large pond in the public area of Eastbourne being dipped. He believes there's a potential risk to the ecosystem, such as frog spawn destruction and such like. How would you advise that area of the hobby?
I think it's more of getting like knowledge to people of like when frogs are obviously spawning, which I think is off the top of my head, January to March. And then in rivers, there's like a no fishing period. I think that's March to June off the top of my head. So yeah, it's all about knowing your local area, knowing the wildlife. It's just education, really. And a lot of it's common sense as well. If you can see stuff like that, then you shouldn't be magnet fishing. But yeah, a lot of it's common sense and a bit of education to people. Maybe that's like an idea for a future video as well. Because obviously, me personally, I learn a lot more from visually and like seeing it rather than reading.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's I'd probably do that for a future subject, just a bit of an education for people, and then hopefully we'll have that problem.
Brilliant. So we've spoke a lot about magnet fishing and going back all the way to the start of the show. 43 minutes ago, we had a question from Davey M. Because we obviously want to speak about metal detecting as well.
Yeah.
How do you compare magnet fishing to metal detecting, and what detector do you use?
Good question. So obviously I've only been doing magnet fishing since January, February, and I've only been doing metal detecting for the last 2 months. The instant comparison I make is magnet fishing. Anybody can do it. Well, anybody can do metal detecting, but it's easier to pick up and do because it's simple. You just literally need a magnet on rope, and obviously just chuck it in the water and pull out the metal items, and then just clean up after yourself. So it's really simple. You can get out with the kids. It's a very cheap hobby as well. You can buy magnets as cheap as £10. Obviously, they're not going to be very strong, but be perfect for like children and stuff. So to get the whole family into it, it's a lot cheaper. And like I said, anybody can do it. Pretty much next day, shipping off Amazon. You could be up and running in a couple of days. Obviously, the metal detecting side of it that I'm still learning. There's a bigger like step up as in learning. You got to know the machine, the different settings, which like still baffles me now, but I'm getting there slowly just by watching other YouTube videos. And then the bit I'm struggling with is getting permission on land. I don't know how to approach it. If I've been doing it, it's probably the wrong way. So I've been sticking to beaches, which I don't mind. It's just a bit more further travel, obviously, because I'm always inland. So that's the main side of it. The both, you don't know what you're going to find. You don't know what's in the ground. You don't know what's in the water, which is brilliant. And it's pretty much the same for both. When you chuck your magnet in and you feel the magnet attached to something, you can feel the extra weight on the magnet, and you're like, oh, what is it? What is it? You might get bubbles if it's something big, or if it's like under the silt, it's been there for a while, and you're always, it's got bubbles, it's going to be something good. And then until you break the surface, you don't know what it is. And that's pretty much the same with metal detecting. You get the tone, but, oh, what's this? And because I've not fully learned the machine yet, I don't know the differences and stuff. I just dig everything on the beach. Most people would probably be like, oh, that's scrap. But I'll dig it. I wonder what it is, and it'll be, oh, it's a ring pull. Or it's a 2p coin. So yeah, a lot of it's very similar. I just said the learning curve to learn metal detecting compared to magnet fishing is just a bit more. But they're both brilliant to do. Both good to get out and about as well.
And what machine do you use?
I use the Macro Multi Cruiser. And like I said, I've just been watching. I've read the instructions, but because I've never done it before, I can get the basics of it. But it's the videos that I'm learning, the settings, the differences, and stuff like that. So eventually, with practice, I'll get it. But yeah, I enjoy both, to be honest.
I use the same detector. If you got any questions,
Brilliant.
I'd be more than happy to help. Yeah, I think it's a brilliant detector. Love it. It's my go-to detector. So
Yeah,
you picked a good one.
Yeah, I can't compare it to anything else because I don't know I've never used anything else.
Mm-hmm.
In fact, I've used what was it? Is it Gareth 150? It's like a small yellow machine.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
I think it was. Right? You use that? I borrowed it off another YouTuber called the Giant Garrett Detectorist, a guy called Ben, brilliant guy. Yeah, he let me use his spare machine. And I found, I think it was a 1900 Vicky Penny or something.
Were you hooked instantly?
Oh
Hooked?
yeah,
Right?
definitely. It was like the oldest thing I've ever found in my life. Like, and then obviously I got in contact with LP. Is it metal detecting? LP
Leisure
Leisure Promotions. Yeah. That's it. Sorry.
You've actually got the owner of the company is listening tonight.
Is it? Oh, brilliant.
Yeah. Pizza Rattles online.
Yeah, so I told him obviously I do magnet fishing. I want to get into the rivers. I need something waterproof. And he advised, try this machine. It's waterproof, which it is. I've had it underwater for hours, and it's never faulted. Yeah, it was easy enough to set up. Watch the tutorials on the YouTube, and then put it in beach mode, and off I go. It's brilliant.
Yeah, great detector, easy to use. It's one of the things I love about it. It's very simple to use. I like that everything's on the screen. So, are you detecting as much now as you magnet fish? Are you still more of a magnet fisher? Where are you at with that?
It generally depends on the area I'm in, and obviously the time. I can do a lot more magnet fishing compared to metal detecting because I've got to travel further to the beaches and stuff. And with YouTube as well, because I'm obviously trying to build that up as well. Magnet fishing videos are a lot more popular than the metal detecting ones, and I'm trying to merge them both. Obviously, I'm always going to have audiences that favour the magnet fishing, and some will prefer both, or some will prefer the metal detecting. So I'm trying to do a bit of a balancing act. But now I'm down in Kent, I've got more places to detect, more beach areas and stuff like that, and I'm not far from the beaches. So the next, I think I'm here till about April, so I'm going to ramp up the metal detecting. And I've got a lot of people who live in the local area that are saying, try this area, try that area. So
that's cool.
I'll be doing a lot more metal detecting up until April, and then I'm going to try and do like a 50-50 mix and try and please both viewers.
I think one of the good things you've got is, there's a number of obviously people who listen to you, listening to you tonight, who watch the shows on YouTube. There's always the potential that you could do a swap deal. Somebody could take it out on one of their land permissions, and vice versa. You can take them along magnet fishing, show them the ropes, pun intended.
Yeah. That's a brilliant idea, to be honest. Yeah, definitely. Can't believe I've not thought about that before.
Well, as I say, I know Luke. I spoke to Luke about it last night, so I'm going to obviously hook you up with Luke in the future. I know he's very, very busy with work at the moment, but I'm sure he'll be able to find an hour here or there for you.
Yeah, brilliant. I've always got the magnets and the detector in the car anyway, so yeah.
Don't give out your details of your car, or everyone will be round it.
Well, it's not physically in the car. I put it in my room, but obviously they're always. I'm not far from anything.
What are you saying about our listeners, Dave?
I didn't say our listeners per se. I was thinking about the people who have been putting their thumbs down, etc. I'll go that way instead.
There you go.
Hey, do you know what? We've actually finished all the questions on the sheet now. Would you believe? So it's back to listeners and it's back to off the cuff.
Yeah.
Ow! Cramp.
Thought that was the missus giving you.
No, that's me getting cramp.
I know you've got to go soon, and we did cover everything, Gareth. So if we've got any, if any of our listeners have any questions, let's get them in now. We got to get. Gareth has to leave the building he's in soon, so we'll wrap it up soon. Don't forget
Laura's saying, don't forget the mandatory weekly question. Which one's that?
I think it's our new one that is, has any of your YouTube subscribers sent you any naked pictures? That's our Laura Higgins, our resident troublemaker, but she makes it interesting.
Why is it always Laura that asks? Is there something going on here? Does she want to be that person?
Yeah, right, Laura. What's going on?
Yeah, to be honest, if I probably put like a PO box address, then I probably would. But at the minute, I've not got that.
Double dare, physical challenge, no backsy outies.
When that question originally came up from Laura, of course, our resident troublemaker, I made the comment something along the lines, I will feel like I've made it in the hobby when I get nude pictures. And all of a sudden, I had Dave message me on Facebook, and I'm like, oh, crap. Uh-oh. But, yeah, it wasn't too bad. It wasn't fully nude. Let's just go with that.
It wasn't even me.
No, it wasn't. It wasn't.
Yeah, but, I've got a quick question.
Can't carry on.
What's the best metal detecting finds you've both found? What you think is the best thing?
The best thing for me, I would say I was part of one of the sites I'm invited to with two of my friends. Two finds from there, actually. One was the Reichspfennig, which is a Nazi German coin, which was made, I think it's a zinc, and it was made during the Second World War for Nazi Germany. I found that in the middle of a field in Shropshire. On the same field, myself and the said two people, we've actually found, I think now, in the region of 70 Jettons, which are medieval gaming tokens.
Cool.
It's been classed as a hoard because there's so many, but because it's obviously not coins, it's not classed as a proper hoard. So it is a Jetton hoard, but not. One story that I love to tell, and it's a brief one. I was in Anglesey back in around 2001. And we were doing a survey for the Gwynedd Archaeological Trust, metal detecting survey with one of my old friends, and I came across a large mound in a field. So being a novice and not knowing anything, I decided to detect said field. What it ended up being was a tank. We dug the top and we found the entry point at the top of the tank, and I was told to fill the hole in, leave it alone, go away, because the military would be there and we'd be bloody there for weeks, never mind days, sorting it out. What we actually found through research is that after the Second World War, materials and such like being very scarce, and obviously the amount of tanks and whatnot that had been manufactured during the war were sold off as surplus, and they obviously found its way to Anglesey because people were buying them at a cheaper rate and utilising them as tractors. So it was a completely stripped down, bare minimum tank, and basically it had just been covered up with soil and left. But I've been past a few times more, and unfortunately the mound is gone, so I don't know whatever happened to that. But yes, I've found a tank.
Wow.
That's very cool. Very cool. I don't know. I've found some really cool Civil War stuff. I don't have much. I'm from the North, and but I do have I went to Virginia for a hunt that not much was found, and I managed a dropped Confederate bullet that actually has some value to it, which was, to think a piece of lead that's worth about $125, I was pretty, not that the value means anything to me. I would never sell it. I've got some buttons, Civil War buttons that I found actually in the fields of Ohio. They would after the Civil War, I guess it was pretty common to bring their coats home, their uniforms, and they would wear them farming and stuff. So we actually find buttons. I have an eagle button with quite a rare back mark. I have a button that it's a homemade button and designed the design of like a cannon wheel with the cannon protruding from it. That actually is my one relic I've ever found that has there was an experience with it, and we'll talk about that next week. I don't know. I just have a connection to that, but I have found one coin worth some money. I sold it. It's the only thing I've ever sold, and I sold it for $2,750. It was a 1916D Mercury dime, which is the key date for the series. It meant nothing to me, and that's why I sold it. It's just another Mercury dime. I have found hundreds of them. But it was a neat experience. I found a lot of neat old coins, some Spanish silver, which, in Ohio, when you find Spanish silver, you're obviously on very old sites. I have part of a spoon, a pewter spoon, which they didn't realize was toxic until the 1850s or 1840s. From a site, actually from a town that disappeared in like 1832 due to disease and a canal being built, and the headway was actually ended up about a mile up the road, so they abandoned the town, which is just farm field now, and there was a hotel there, and I've got a pewter spoon with the initials of the hotel owner. Wow. I like that. Yeah, I don't know. I've found so much stuff over the years. I've got some GAR medals, which was Grand Army of the Republic after the Civil War. They would hand out. I don't know. All kinds of cool little trinkets and things.
That's some good stuff.
But what about you? What's your favorite find so far?
I'm going to start calling my detector a weapon detector because I found two World War II trench mortars. One was like an illuminating smoke that obviously dispenses like a flare. Another was a smoke. What else did I find? A lot of weapons, knives, knuckle dusters. What else did I find? A grenade. In fact, two grenades. Old bullet casings. Stuff like that. I don't know if it's the areas I keep going to, but finding some good stuff. Found a few coins. The only old coin was at 1900 penny. Apart from that, it's all modern stuff. But I'm sure if I keep getting out, especially if I can join people on digs and permissions and stuff, then I should find some good stuff.
Aaron, I'm sorry. Aaron's I apologize. I was in the middle of reading what he just said. He said he found a 1914 Mercury dime in the middle of a A football pitch. I'm not sure what he means by that. I'm guessing that's
soccer pitch.
Okay. 1914. That would have been a barber, Aaron, a barber dime, not a Mercury, which is actually kind of cooler. Because 1916 was the first year. I think I'm telling you this right. I might need to look that. I'm pretty sure 1916 was the first year. Yeah, it was. I'm sorry. 1916 was the first year of the Mercury dime. And the first half of the year, the reason that's a key date, the D, there were so few minted because the first half of the year, the barber dime was still in production. And halfway through the year, and D means it was minted in Denver, and very few were minted. It was something like 200,000 and some, which for the time was very low mintage. They were in the millions then. But what you have is a barber dime, which is very cool. Very cool. But, yeah.
So have we got any more questions, anybody out there?
I think we're good. I'm not seeing any more questions coming in. Davey M said, bet you're looking forward to finding your first Roman or Hammy.
Yeah, definitely. I think he finds quite a lot of Roman cons. Doesn't he, like iDetect? He seems to be finding a lot.
Harry, yeah, he does find a hell of a lot. Another good one, a good bit of humour for you to have a look at is he's been a guest on the show, Addicted to Bleeps. He does some great, hilarious videos. Really, he's one of the people that you put him on with Mike, and the two of them could talk for about 18 hours straight.
We have 3 hours of recording time, and we had to end the show before we were done. Him and I were just chatting up a storm. Really nice guy. We've had some great guests, Dave. I'll tell you. I really enjoy doing this. I know I'm not in the UK, but I really enjoy doing this show and the guests we've had. And, of course, Gareth, great show.
Mm-hmm.
It's been great having
Have you ever met Akochiga?
I have not, and I've never even reached out to him. I know he's very, very busy, but he is somebody I would like to get on the show, and I'm kind of hoping now that Gypsy, being my co-host, is now a Garrett team member. I'm hoping she can talk him into coming on.
Yeah, he seems to find like a lot of Civil War stuff, doesn't he?
Yeah, he sure does. Yeah, he does. He's a big creek hunter and river, and gets in there and gets wet and finds some amazing, amazing stuff.
Yeah.
Aaron asked, will you keep both magnet fishing and metal detecting on the same channel, or are you going to launch a second channel?
It's a hard one, that one. I would probably prefer to split them and then have a dedicated I don't know. I put a poll out once because you can put polls out in the community tab on YouTube, and people can respond. And I think only about 200 people responded, and 20% said split the channel, and the rest said they're not bothered, just keep it as it is.
Well, you've got your playlist split, and I would just suggest that. When they go to your channel, there's you've got your different subjects, and I think that's and that'll just add your numbers, I would guess, instead of splitting channels. That would be my easier to follow just one channel, and easier to keep up with comments and statistics.
Obviously, you can put them in separate files as well, can't you, on there? So you can have your playlist of your metal detecting and your playlist of your magnet fishing. Yeah,
I do have separated playlists and stuff, but because I follow a lot of people who do a lot of research into YouTube and the algorithms and stuff, a recent thing has come out saying basically if you're putting out videos, YouTube, the channels that do well are the channels that focus on one topic only, because what happens is say I do 2 magnet fishing videos and then I'll do a metal detecting video. The people that skip the metal detecting video, it's like they're showing like they're not interested. And if they keep skipping videos, I'm not saying I want everybody to watch every video, but if people skip certain videos, like if it's on a certain topic, your channel doesn't do as good. Whereas if it just one focused on magnet fishing, and the diehard magnet fishers watch that, they're generally going to watch all your videos or all your uploads, and YouTube then promote your videos even further to more people. And that's the only reason I'm thinking of splitting it.
I gotcha.
Yeah. It would be easier to keep it on one channel. But I think, I don't know, I'm 50-50. There's pros and cons to it, to both. And it's
right.
It's it's not as easy as, I don't know.
Gareth, we have, I think we better wrap up. If I'm understanding, you need to go, correct? You've got to be out of the building in just a few minutes?
Yeah, the staff are putting the shutters down on me as I speak.
Okay, yeah, let's wrap it up then and let you get going. But great time talking to you, and you definitely got us interested for sure, me and Steph. And
it's a pleasure.
And me.
Questions have been brilliant.
Well, I just didn't bring you up because you already do it. I know you've done it a couple times, but yeah. Great time.
It's been a pleasure.
It's been a pleasure having you on, and we appreciate it.
It certainly has. And don't forget to the listeners, obviously, you can download this podcast and listen to it where and whenever you want at the Spreaker.com or Metal Mode UK page. Additionally, obviously, there's the previous shows, the one from D-Leg last week, Gary Blackwell, Gary Cook, the one from Andy Sampson, Chris Rogers, Addicted to Bleeps, Dean Stainton, and the one live from Detectable. They're all available to listen to at any time. And also, don't forget, next week, same time, same place, we'll have Dawn Chip Chase. She of Digger Dawn YouTube fame coming along to chat with us.
Yep, I'll be in the comments.
Marvellous.
Great. And also, we are on iTunes officially now. You can find us on YouTube if you'd rather listen in there. We will be on iHeartRadio soon. I'm not sure if we're on there yet. And also Spotify. And I didn't even know you could do that, but we'll be on Spotify soon. But Dave, I forgot to do our little boy, I'm just a hot mess. I need, we need to bring on a third person that just keeps me in line, keeps me on track and such.
But is she not at home with you right now?
Yeah, she's gone. She took the kids and left and leave me alone. But we sure appreciate you tuning in. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to play our advertisement as the outro. How's that, Dave?
Marvelous.
Thank you all for tuning in. Have a good night.
Thank you very much.
Thanks for coming along, Gareth.
Yes.
No worries. Thanks, Dave. Thanks, Mike.
Great time having you. We'll talk to you again soon.
See you later. Bye.
Well, there you have it, guys. Thank you for tuning in.
The Archaeology and Metal Detecting magazine acts as a hub for information, offering articles from archaeologists, detectorists and other specialists throughout the genre, featuring many links, event info and news articles associated to archaeology and metal detecting. We also offer professional review services and promotion for books, resources, videos, documentaries, gadgets, equipment and much, much more. The magazine is run by the archaeological and metal detecting community for the archaeological and metal detecting community. So come visit us at archmdmag.com, that's archmdmag.com, and check out information from our media section with all the latest content, news from the Archaeology channel, podcast and the YouTube channels that feature the now legendary Digger Dawn, The Man with the Hat and Archeo Duck, just to name a few. If you would like to offer an article, link or inquire about other services, then pay us a visit at archmdmag.com and drop us a line.